In this video, I'm going to level up from level 1 all the way to the maximum level of 2,650 just using the fruits I got from this guy. Alright, before we can roll a fruit, we need to be level 50. So let's take our first mission and start grinding. In the middle of grinding, I ran into some players near Blocks Fruits NPC. So I typed the most common words in the first C to get a free fruit. And we got our first fruit. Even though it didn't come directly from Zyola's, he was the one who rolled it and gave it to us. So technically, it's still a fruit from Zyola's. Here we go, baby. Blade fruit. One of the fruits that is quite good at the start of the game, because it has quite good M1. Here we have unlocked the X move, and this move is quite good for grinding, because it attacks all enemies around it. And I just realized that NPCs who use swords can't hurt us if our level is higher. This is because of the passive of the blade fruit, which can be immune to all sword attacks. By the way, there are also people here who disturb us while grinding. Here we are already level 51, and when we do the first fruit roll, we get an eagle fruit. Unfortunately, the video when we do the fruit roll is broken, so I can't show it. Anyway, I'm very happy to get this fruit because this fruit is quite good for grinding. Alright, now we at the desert island, and here I grinding for 2 hours, and we reach level 90. Since it's been 2 hours, it's time for us to replace our blocks fruit, and this is what we get.
But what the hell, boy?
This time, we get spike fruit, the worst fruit in this game, and we will use it for the next 2 hours. Next, we're grinding in the frozen village. And since we're already here and have enough money, I'm going to buy 3 special abilities. Now we have Aura, Super Jump, and Flash Step. It's time to grinding. Even though this fruit has low damage and a long cooldown, it can still be used for grinding in the first C. But once you get to the second or third C, it'll probably become a big obstacle. Alright, we finally reached level 120 after grinding for 2 hours, so it's time to change our fruit again. Hopefully we got something good here.
Later.
So here we got the sand fruit. And yeah, this feels like a nightmare. It doesn't have an M1 attack, and it's more of a PvP fruit than a grinding one. Next, we head to the Marine Fortress to test out our new fruit. And honestly, I wouldn't recommend this one for grinding. Just look. Once you use all your skill moves, all you can do is wait for the cooldowns. That makes it really boring. Kinda like Spike or other low-tier fruits. The only thing I actually like about this fruit is the passive. It makes you immune to normal attacks from NPCs. But honestly, I don't think that's going to be very useful in the 3rd C, since most of the NPC at the 3rd C have Aura ability. Alright, we've made it to level 130. Now I'm gonna focus on getting our first accessory from a boss drop. After defeating 3 bosses, we finally got it. Our very first accessory. After grinding up to level 151, we're finally ready to head to Skylands Island. But on the way, I accidentally discovered a hidden area, and inside, I found a secret NPC selling the black cape. It gives a 5% damage boost, so I decided to swap out my marine coat for it. For those who don't know the location of this NPC, let me show you the location.
Okay.
Next, let's head over to Skylands Island and continue grinding. But before that, we should be able to roll a new fruit and finally replace this sand fruit. Let's see what we get. And yep, unexpectedly, we got another sand fruit. Just look at my luck today. It's actually sad. Unfortunately, we're stuck with the sand fruit for another 2 hours before the next roll. So yeah, back to grinding it is.
2 hours later.
Okay, it's been 2 hours, and we can finally roll a fruit again. I'm really hoping for something good for grinding. At least a magma or Buddha fruit. Great! Another spike fruit. I guess we're back to suffering with a trash fruit for the next 2 hours. This fruit really slows down our leveling progress. Normally, I should be able to gain at least 60 levels in 2 hours. But with this fruit, I'm only getting around 20 to 30 levels. Now we can continue to Prison Island. But before that, let's roll a fruit again. I really hope we get something special for grinding this time. Finally, we got a good grinding fruit. Magma is one of the best fruits for grinding in this game. It has huge damage, and since it's a Logia fruit, it also makes us immune to weaker attacks. The F move on this fruit is super useful for grinding. It deals continuous damage, which helps a lot when clearing groups of enemies. With this, we can grind much faster until it's time for the next fruit roll. Alright, Prison Island. I really don't like grinding on this island, because the NPC are quite far away each other, which makes it quite difficult for us to gather them into one place. Alright, we've now reached level 273, and it's time to roll our next fruit. I think it's time to say goodbye to Magma, and the fruit that's going to replace it is Bomb Fruit. Looks like our nightmare has come true. This is definitely one of the worst fruits in the game. The Z, X, and F moves are pretty mid, but the C move is actually decent in my opinion. You can place landmines on the ground and lure enemies into stepping on them. Welcome to Magma Island. The name really brings back memories of our previous fruit. Sadly, that amazing magma fruit has now been replaced with a bomb. Alright, now we've unlocked the V move. Let's try it out and see what it does. This move deals a lot of damage. It can instantly kill NPCs with less than 90% HP, and it also has a huge damage radius, which is really cool. Honestly, for a D tier fruit, I'm pretty satisfied with it. But yeah, it's time to move on and get a new one. Alright, hopefully we get a good fruit for grinding this time.
But what the hell, boy?
A few minutes later.
We got the spider fruit. Honestly, I have no idea how this one works. Let's find out if it's any good for grinding. The Z move looks pretty ordinary, and the X move, also nothing special. The C move is actually pretty decent, but overall the skills are just very mid. Nothing really stands out, and it's honestly kind of boring. Maybe this fruit would be much better if it were awakened. Alright, now we're at level 375. Next, we're heading to the underwater city. But before that, let's roll another fruit and see what we get. Here we got smoke fruit. Believe it or not, this is a very good fruit for grinding, and much better than unawakened spider fruit in terms of grinding, because the F move of this fruit can provide continuous damage, similar to the Magma F move, and this is also a Logia fruit, which can make us immune to normal NPC attacks. I honestly feel really comfortable using this fruit. Just look at how easy it is to wipe out the enemies I've gathered. Just use the X move, then the C move, and that's it. Super simple and efficient. Even though this is considered a lower tier fruit, its damage is actually pretty high. It gives immunity to weak attacks, has solid skill moves, great area damage. But unfortunately, according to the rules, we have to keep changing our fruit, so it's time to roll again. Let's see what we get this time. Hopefully, we finally land a Buddha fruit. Well, we got this weird looking fruit. Not gonna lie, I'm not too sure if its skills are any good, but let's try it out. The Z move? It's pretty decent. The X move? Also decent. To be honest, I'm not really a fan of this fruit so far. Now for the C move, it looks cool, but the damage is kinda mid. Overall, the fruit has a cool appearance, but in terms of damage, it's just average. The V move though? Surprisingly, it's pretty good. Alright, I'm done with this fruit. Time to switch again. Hopefully we get something better this time. And we got the eagle fruit. Honestly, this one is way better than the dark fruit. If this fruit hadn't been reworked, we would have ended up with the old falcon fruit, which would have been an actual nightmare. But thankfully, it's already update 26, and this fruit has been reworked, so we can finally relax a bit when we get it. Anyway, right now I want to get the instinct ability. But before that, we need to complete the saber puzzle first. So let's get started. The first step is to activate the button in the jungle to get the torch. Then we head to the desert to find the cup. After that, we fill the cup with water from the frozen village and give it to the sick man. Once that's done, we go to the pirate village to meet his son. He'll ask us to defeat an NPC, and after doing that, he'll give us a key that leads to the saber boss. After defeating the boss, we get the saber sword, and the puzzle is finally complete. Now, we're ready to unlock the instinct ability. After grinding for 50 minutes, we can now head to Fountain City. I continued grinding here until I reached level 670. Alright, it's time to change our fruit again. Let's see what kind of torture we'll get this time. And yep, another spike fruit. At this point, I think we should just get used to it, because I'm pretty sure we'll be seeing more fruits like this in the future. Anyway, here I got a new accessory from Cyborg Boss. This accessory is pretty cool, and this is the best accessory in the first sea. Alright, after grinding for a long time, we've finally reached level 700, which means we can now head to the second sea. As usual, to get there, we first need to go to Prison Island and talk to this NPC. Then, we head to Frozen Village to defeat the Ice Admiral. After that, we return to Prison Island and finally go to the middle town to talk to the experienced captain. And just like that, we've made it to the second sea. Before continuing the grind, I'm going to roll another fruit. Let's see what we get this time. Oh no, not again. Why do we always end up with fruits like this? Sand, spike, then spike again, then sand. Or sometimes dark. It's like a never-ending cycle. Why can't we just get a Buddha fruit, Kitsune, or any fruit that's actually good for grinding? We're forced to use the sand fruit again for grinding in the second sea. And to make things worse, the NPCs here are way stronger than the ones in the first sea. Hey, there's a factory raid happening. Let's try to finish it and get the fruit. I'm not sure we can clear it in under 5 minutes though, since the sand fruit's Z move doesn't deal any damage to the factory. Yeah, just as expected. I couldn't do anything with this fruit. Alright, time to switch fruits. Hopefully not sand or spike again. This time, we got the love fruit. Unfortunately, it doesn't have any M1 attacks, so things might get tricky. The Z move actually deals pretty big damage, and if you chain it with the X move, it can almost one-shot an NPC. Another factory raid appeared. Love fruit is way better than sand for this, but sadly, only 2 of the skill moves are unlocked right now, which means, yeah, I failed the raid again. After the C move of this fruit is opened, it makes me very comfortable to do grinding because I can clean up enemies quickly. And for the V move, it's pretty unique because we can spawn an NPC who can help us in a fight. This time, the factory raid appears again, and with us having opened all the skill moves in this fruit, now we can complete the factory raid in under 5 minutes, but unfortunately, we only got a trash fruit from this raid. I just realized that we have reached level 853, which means we can now upgrade our race to V2. Before getting race V2, we have to complete the Colosseum quest to allow us to talk to the alchemist. To do this quest, we have to talk to Bartillo, defeat 50 swan pirates, beat Jeremy, free the prisoner, and now the Colosseum is completed. Now we can talk to the alchemist. As usual, he will ask us to give him 3 flowers. So here I collect blue flower, yellow flower, and then red flower. Give these flowers to the alchemist, and now we can buy the race V2. The reason why I wanted this V2 human race, because it can increase our dash distance. Alright, it's time to change our block's fruit. Hopefully we don't get dark, spike, or sand fruit again. And of course, we got the dark fruit again. Just my bad luck. I forced myself to grind with this fruit for the 10th time. And finally, we've reached level 900. Let's change our fruit again. And this time, we got a spider fruit again. But it's okay, I quite like this fruit, because it's not a dark, sand, or spike fruit. Anyway, the V move of this fruit is not yet open. And after I open it, the damage and area of the V move of this fruit are quite good for grinding. And when a factory raid appears here, this fruit is able to complete the raid in under 5 minutes, even though the prizes from this raid are trash. Now it's time to change the fruit again. Here we got Creation, one of the newest fruit in this update, along with Gravity and Eagle fruit. I have reviewed this fruit, And honestly, the grinding ability of this fruit is quite decent. So I didn't expect much from this fruit. So I immediately used this fruit for grinding. And in 2 hours, we managed to reach level 1101. I wanted to roll another fruit again because this fruit is pretty decent for grinding. Here we have the risk of getting trash fruit, so I hope the trash fruit we get is at least smoke fruit because that fruit are pretty good for grinding. We got flame fruit. This fruit is also pretty decent for grinding, but it's okay. At least we didn't get spike or sand fruit. The only thing I don't like about this fruit is the knockback from the X and V moves, and the skill from the Z move must be aimed correctly. The fruit is very good if we awaken it, because the skill will be very good for grinding, and the damage will also increase. Here there is another factory raid that appears. I use flame fruit to complete it, and the result is this fruit can complete the raid in under 5 minutes. Alright, now after grinding for another 2 hours, now we reached level 1201. It's time to roll another fruit again. We got a rubber fruit in here. This is a good fruit for grinding because it's have M1, good transformation, and also good C move. I like this fruit because this fruit are pretty goofy. This fruit also have pretty huge damage, making it easily kill the enemy. Now it's time for us to grind on the cursed ship. Here I'm waiting for the cursed captain, so that I can get a torch from him, which I can use to get the ghoul race. If you ask, why must the ghoul race? Because this race has a cooldown reduction, which will be very helpful in this challenge, considering that we will definitely always replace our blocks fruit, where on average blocks fruit is very dependent on the skill move to clear the NPC. Here I have started hunting Cursed Captain and finally got Torch, but now I don't have enough ectoplasm to buy Ghoul Race. So I grinded for a few minutes, then finally I was able to buy Ghoul Race. It would be a shame if it wasn't upgraded to Race 5-3. So I immediately took the initiative to upgrade this race. Race 5-2 is obtained through the Alchemist, collecting red, blue, and yellow flowers, then giving them to the Alchemist. And now, we have Ghoul Race V2. To get V3 we have to first talk to Aroi. Here Aroi doesn't want to give me a mission to get Race V3, because I haven't beaten Don Swan yet. To access Don Swan, we must be able to have access to Mansion, and to have access to enter there, we must give Trevor a blocks fruit worth 1 million belly. But hey, we don't have that expensive fruit, because we eat every single fruit we get from Zioli's. Remember Factory Raid, and the trash fruit we get from there? I will use those fruit for trading. Because the value of our fruit is quite low, I will try to roll the fruit to get additional fruit so that the value can reach 40%. Now we have a blocks fruit worth 1 million belly. Give it to Trevor, and now we can go inside the mansion to defeat Don Swan. After defeating Don Swan, now we can take quest from Aroi to get Race V3. In this quest, we have to defeat 5 players, so I use my main account for doing this. After 5 times defeating the world's strongest player, now we can get the Ghoul Race V3. After getting Ghoul V3, I continued grinding until level 1301. Anyway, my current accessory feels really outdated, so I decided to replace it with something cooler, the Don Swan glasses. Let's just defeat Don Swan as many times as it takes until we finally get the drop. These glasses give 8% cooldown reduction along with other buffs, and when combined with the Ghoul Race, we get a total of 28% cooldown reduction, which is actually pretty solid. After getting new accessory, I continue grinding until I get to Ice Castle Island, then grind again, then keep grinding until finally we have to roll another fruit again. Let's see what we will get this time. We get one of the trash fruit in this game. This is so hurt, but we must eat it. In just 1 bite, my grinding ability immediately dropped drastically because this fruit has very low damage and have a knockback that make our progress slow. This NPC keeps killing us, which really slows down our progress. But hey, I've got a better idea. Instead of wasting time on farming 8 NPCs, why not just focus on boss fights? Let's go straight to the Awakened Ice Admiral and grind there. After a tough battle, we finally managed to defeat him. Though I forgot to change my quest before the fight. But it's all good, since we can keep farming him again and again. Time to change our fruit again. Let's see what we get. And of course, another bad fruit. Still no mythical fruit. At this point, I think my luck on this account is just cursed. But oh well, we just have to accept it and keep moving forward. Anyway, I kept grinding until level 1500, which means it's finally time to head to the 3rd sea. I went straight to the Red King, fought Rip Indra, and after the cutscene rolled in, we've officially unlocked the 3rd sea. Unlike the 1st and 2nd sea, the mobs here are seriously tough. So I quickly pushed my level up to 1515, and now it's time to rush to the mansion and roll another fruit. Let's hope this time we finally get something worth celebrating. We got Phoenix fruit. It's a legendary fruit, but according to Google, this fruit are really bad for grinding. So I just tried it, and it turns out it's true. This fruit is very bad for grinding. His Z move has decent damage with high knockback. X move that only heals us makes this fruit have limited damage from its skills. And also the C move, which only attacks single targets, which really not worth it for grinding. Instead of being tortured with 25 levels every 2 hours, I just rolled the next fruit, and this is what I got. We got our first mythical fruit, Venom. When I try grinding using this fruit, it's feel like heaven. This fruit has low cooldown and high damage on the Z move, F move, which can provide continuous damage, X move, which has high damage, C move has good continuous area damage, and Transform move, which is pretty cool. Also, this fruit has poison damage, which is pretty fast to kill NPC in Clear Quest. By the way, I rarely use double X codes, so let's use as many as we can while using this good fruits. Here I have been using Venom for quite a long time, and it is time to replace our fruit. It is a shame we have to throw away Venom considering this fruit is very good for grinding. Here we get Smoke. Even though it is a lower tier fruit, this fruit is very good for grinding. So I am quite happy to get this fruit. Here I grind comfortably and reach level 1900. I continued changing the fruit, and this is what I got. We got our second mythical fruit, that is Control. I immediately ate it and used it for grinding, even though it is a mythic level fruit. But unfortunately here, the performance is not as good as the Smoke and Venom fruit. The Z move has a very short cooldown and deals high damage, but it also causes significant knockback, which can scatter the enemies we've gathered in one spot. Even though this fruit is mythical level, but Smoke fruit is way more better than this fruit. Because I can't stand this fruit, so I decided to change it again, and I got Blade fruit. I'm honestly a little sad to let go of this Control fruit, but we have to remind ourselves not to spend too much time just grinding. After eating the Blade fruit, my grinding efficiency instantly skyrocketed. Even though the damage from the M1 attacks is kind of trash, the attack speed is surprisingly fast, and that alone made a huge difference. The skill moves of this fruit are pretty mid overall, nothing flashy or overpowered, but the real bonus, none of the skills have annoying knockback, so I can combo freely without enemies flying everywhere. From there, I continued to the Haunted Castle, my favorite map in the entire game. I kept grinding hard, collected a bunch of bones, and traded them to the Death King NPC for double EXP. I kept going non-stop until I finally reached level 2212. Since we have been using the blade for quite a long time, it is time for us to replace it. And here we get Sand Fruit, again and again Sand Fruit. Using this fruit in the 3rd sea is really troublesome. Unlike the 1st sea and 2nd sea, the NPCs in the 3rd sea have quite high HP, which makes the Sand Fruit really bad. Here also I finish Pirate Raid, and this is what we get. Here I decided to roll a new fruit, and this is what we got. Once again, Dark Fruit. If not Sand Fruit, we will definitely get Dark Fruit. After grinding for quite some time and reaching level 2425, I changed my fruit again, and we got Ice Fruit. This fruit is very good, because this fruit has M1 attack. Although here, I rarely use the M1 attack and focus more on using the skill move to defeat a group of NPC. But the M1 of this fruit is quite good as a finishing move, and also the skill move of this fruit has quite good damage. Anyway, when I tried using my bones to get double EXP, I got a Fire Essence, an important material to obtain Dragon Talon. But since we only can using blocks fruits in here, and still didn't have 400 mastery on Dragon Breath fighting style, so I will just give this Fire Essence to Uzoth, but not take his fighting style. After grinding for quite a long time, and using all the double XP codes that I rarely use during grinding. Now we finally reached level 2650. We are at the end of the video, and to close out the video, I wanted to roll a fruit one more time, and this is what we get.